All right. Try this one more time. All right. There we go. Okay, so this is page 2 of the factoring packet when our leading coefficient is not a 1. We still have a trinomial, and that's cool, so we're going to work it like the trinomials. We're still going to do the a times the c. So the a times the c, 2 times 6 makes a 12. So I'm looking things that will multiply to make a 12, but come back and add to make the b value, which was a 7, okay? So this was the a times c, and this is the b. We're going to list everything we can think of that are factors of 12. 1 times 12. What next? Good. 2 times 6. What's next? 3 times 4. Is there anything else without just reversing the order? No. Okay. Everything was positive, right? Yay. I don't have to worry about anything. And did you notice we did not have a greatest common factor, right? There was nothing that would divide into anything to start with. We always want to look for that when you do factoring. That's always like the step 1, look for a greatest common factor. Your first 20 problems on page 2 do not have any greatest common factor. They will be just like this example and the next example that we're going to do together, okay? But always look for it just to get in the habit of looking for it. So at this point, which of these factors, if I were to add them together, would create the 7 that I need? Right. Okay, so we have a 3 and we have a 4. You're going to put an x next to the 3 and x next to the 4. And watch what you're going to do. The first term is going to stay exactly the same. The last term is going to stay exactly the same. It was a plus 6. We are going to change this middle 7 into 2 pieces, a 3 and a 4. And we're going to put them in here. Yes, do you kind of see it? Okay, so once you see it, you'll understand it. Now, we need to make a good decision, though. Okay, we need to make a good decision. Would it be a better choice to put the 3 next to the 2 if we're going to do grouping, or the 4 next to the 2? It might be better to do the 4. It doesn't matter what you do, it's up to you. But make a good choice to make your math easier. So I'm going to put the 4x next. It's positive 4x followed by a positive 3x. It's very easy, and hey, this is for you. It's very easy when you do this right now to confirm that this plus this has to equal your middle term. Always confirm that it does, especially if there's negatives, okay? So far, so good. 4x plus 3x does create the 7x, right? You have 4 terms now, so now how are you going to do it? Split them. Factor by grouping, right? So here we go. What does this left half have in common? A 2 with an x. So there's my 2, there's my x. And now I have to divide by that 2x to find what's left over. So the x's cancel out. I'm left with an x. 4 divided by 2 is a 2, and the x's cancel out. Okay, so far so good, right? Let's move into the right side. What seems like a good greatest common factor on that side? A 3, okay. I think it's probably a positive 3. But remember, we want these parentheses to match, and it does appear that a positive 3 works. So those 3's cancel out. I have an x. 6 divided by 3 is a positive 2. Notice I was able to get those 2 sets of parentheses to be identical. Yes! So now I have my final answer ready to go. X plus 2 will create one factor, and then the 2x plus the 3 creates the second factor. And you're done. So what you think? Not too bad? Really? You think it was better? Okay. We'll pay close attention, okay? Okay, let's do another one. This one, however, is going to have a negative attached to it, so we have to be kind of careful. All right? Same idea, though. 4x squared minus 3x minus a 7. Does it have a greatest common factor? No. So we're going to a times c it. A times C makes a what? Negative 28. So I need things that multiply to make a negative 28, but add to make a negative 3. Listing the factors. 1 and 28, 2, 14, 4, 7. Okay, it has to multiply to be a negative 28, so I know I've got a negative in here somewhere. It has to add to be a negative 3, so who needs the negative signs? The big guys or the little guys? The big guys, so 28 is bigger than a 1, 14 is bigger than the 2, and 7 is bigger than the 4. Which one of these are going to add up to give me a negative 3? The 4 and the negative 7. All right, first term stays the same, 4x squared. Last term stays the same, negative 7. What do you want to put next to the 4x squared? The 4 or the negative 7? Okay, so it's a positive 4 with an x, and it's a negative 7 with an x. Now double check your math. Double check right there. Positive 4, negative 7, negative 3. We're good to go. Split them and find the greatest common factor, okay? What do you think? A 4 and an x. So now we're going to divide by that 4x. The 4 cancels off, and I'll have 1x left over. And 4x divided by 4x is a positive 1. What number would be good on the right-hand side? A negative 7? Regular 7? Okay, let's check and see. If I do, remember your parentheses need to match. If I do a positive 7 right here, it has to be a negative 7, doesn't it? Yep. Yep, so we need the negative 7. So a negative divided by a negative makes a positive x and a positive 1. Matching parentheses make your first factor, and the second part are your leftovers. Are you comfortable? Yes. Pretty comfortable with this overall? Okay, great. Your homework tonight is just like these two problems. Exactly the same style. You should probably be able to get done with the 20 problems in less than 30 minutes. You really should. Okay? Make sure you're making your table. We're going to do the next example, which is slightly different, but not any more difficult. Okay? And that way, if you want to work ahead, you can. You'll have about 30 minutes or 40 minutes of class time tomorrow to finish this. But the last 7 or 8, 9 problems are going to have greatest common factors. So let's look at one of those. And that way, if you want to work ahead, you can. Please completely ignore what they've done here. It's not that they've done it wrong. They just didn't write the original problem. And I think that's just ridiculous. So the original problem on this particular one is 4x squared minus 18x plus 8. Now I want you to look at this carefully and see if you can see what I'm talking about. This is still a trinomial, but this is different than the others. How? It has a greatest common factor. What can divide into each of these values? A 2. You always want to remove that first, okay? So if the greatest common factor is a 2, what have we done to all of our problems? Divided by that, right? So I'm going to divide by the 2. So 4x squared divided by 2 becomes a 2x squared. Negative 18x divided by 2 is a negative 9x. And then 8 divided by 2 is a 4. Now you have a trinomial that doesn't have a greatest common factor. So now you do the ABC, A times C adds to B thing. Okay? Thank you for asking about that 2 in front. My suggestion, only from years of experience and heartbreak, the minute you have a real common factor, you do this and you create your final answers kind of pattern at the bottom of your paper, because you will forget to bring it in as part of your final answer, and it will be wrong. You have to include that first greatest common factor, or your problem's going to be wrong, and you'll be crying and sad and miserable. So do it right away. Now let's finish it. A times C, it'd be an 8, right? 2 times 4 is 8, so I need things that multiply to make an 8, but add to make a -9. All right, 8. 1 times 8. 2 times 4. We're done. I need them to add to be negative, but multiply to be positive. So what's that tell you? They both have to be negatives. So which one of these is going to work for you? The 1 and the 8 is going to work, right? Okay. First value was a 2x squared. And I'm going to plunk in either the 1 or the 8. What would you like to come next here? The 1? Okay. -1 with an x. -8 with an x. And then the last term stays the same, 4. Once again, I changed the 9 into the -1 and the -8, right? I didn't do anything different. Splitting in them in half, factor by grouping. What is it this front half has in common? Just an x, okay. And so once I divide by that x, I'll have a 2 with an x minus a 1, because x divided by x is 1. And over here, I probably need to divide by a 4. Should it be a positive or negative here? It looks like it needs to be negative, because I need to wind up with a -1. So that's going to give me a positive 2x, and that's going to give me a -1. Okay, we got this. 2x minus 1 goes in one set of parentheses for the first factor, and x minus 4 fits into the other. You're done. What do you think? Not too bad, honestly? Okay, and like I said, you'll have about 30 minutes of class time tomorrow to finish numbers 21 to 29. All of 21 to 29 are like this one. So maybe you put out here on the side of your notes, #21. And for old people language, that actually meant number or pound. So the hashtag really means number or pound. So FYI, you learned some history.
First letter number right in the expression is 2x to the second. You just do that 2 times the last one, or do you include x to the second?
What problem are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean, 2x to the second? Whatever's the first, whatever the first term is gets brought down. Whatever the last term is gets brought down. Because you're really just rewriting the middle term.
You're making a little chart for me.
Yes? What about, okay, say it again.
For the x.
Uh-huh. You use only the coefficient, the a value times the c. No, sir, because it's the a and the c. It's numbers only right there, okay? Thanks for asking. Any further questions? Okay. You may get started. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. We'll get you there, and